The first thing to say is, growing a company is really difficult. I've been part of 3 as an operator, and 2 of them succeeded, and one of them just flat out failed. So I have the utmost respect for people that start companies with a passion to serve schools. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it well, but it's not easy. And so I would say to start, right, if you want a successful path to growth, it's building on that earlier comment, which is you really got to start by addressing a big problem that many in education are working to solve. And in education, there are lots of those big problems. So if you've got a deep understanding of the problem, then I think you design a product that dramatically improves one of those jobs to be done by a student, teacher, or administrator. It needs to address a current job that many people are really working to improve and to solve. I think that's probably the most important first step, and you've got to build it elegantly. It's got to be really a pioneering approach, an elegant, I think, a focused approach to solve that problem. And then I'd say second, no matter how good a product is, it really doesn't sell itself. And there are, I think, a number of ways to go about and to get this out to schools and districts. The good news, the macro trends that we discussed earlier, they're really driving changes to the traditional model of selling to schools and districts, which is more of a top-down, approach the administrator, get the administrator's approval, and then we'll distribute that across the system. That's still happening, and there are successful companies that are scaling that way. But now with broadband, with cheap devices, the access to those, with these app stores that make it so easy to access technology, there's a much more sort of distributed model of getting access to these technologies. And therefore, there are also business models that have changed to be able to take advantage of these macro trends. And that bigger problem is you might be selling something that's nice to have versus something that's a must have for that school. And so I think that could be an opportunity for that entrepreneur to figure out, okay, what could make your product a must have? Because in my experience, and I sold, products that were thousands of dollars or tens of thousands. For most school sales, the cycles were much, much shorter. I'm talking about, 60 to 90 days or less. And these tools were, they had an implementation cycle, but it wasn't a huge one. They had an investment. It was thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. So I think that's a common misconception, is it takes way too long to sell to schools and districts. I think that one other misconception, too, related to that is that they don't have money to buy products and services. I hear that from many entrepreneurs. They just don't have money. And I think, one, yes, budgets are tight. There's no question that public school budgets are tight, but school leaders do have the resources to invest in tools that solve real problems for students, teachers, and administrators. And these school budgets, by the way, they're typically 75 to 80% people costs. So, they're always looking for tools that can leverage the people that they employ, basically helping those people do more in less time or do the same work more effectively. And in my experience, a 5-figure investment is doable for most schools and districts that are trying to solve a high priority problem for them. They can draw from professional development budgets. They can draw from the technology budget. They can draw from title funds and other sources to pay for those types of solutions. So if you're an entrepreneur and the district is telling you they just don't have money to buy products and services, that could be the case. That also could be an opportunity to reflect on, what else could you do to make this a must-have type of product for them versus a nice-to-have product.